Welcome, everybody. I am the YouTuber here, and welcome to the NFL Draft Special Day 1. And let's get started here with this. Let me change the to get the classic. All right, there you go. I had to do that just so that it's on classic. Um, but before we get into the draft special, be sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and click the notification bell to be notified whenever I post a video, whether that's live from StreamYard, the one powered by StreamYard, or on my PlayStation or on my phone. Be sure you click the notification bell so you're notified and don't miss a single video there. So now, without further ado, let's get into the NFL Draft Special. I'm going to see here, do something here. We are going to share my screen so you can see. We're going to talk about the NFL Draft. We're going to go into all this. Let me get this so I can just do just one tab. So that it's ready to go there. Make sure I'm still live while that tab is up. Yeah, I am. Go to the draft. Pull this up, let me share my screen. Hopefully that you can see my screen now, or at least that tab. Let me pull it up and see if you can. Let me put this up full screen here. So that you can see it. Let me go back to it here. So let me go back to the Browns. So the Jaguars draft first. So we're gonna how this draft special is gonna work is we're gonna talk about who needs what, who and all that. We're gonna talk about who I think is gonna be drafted in what order in the first round, and then in the second round we'll talk about that tomorrow, and the third round tomorrow, and then have a four through seven on Saturday. But so let's get started. So, the first overall pick goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think they are going to select. I think they're going to select. What they need. They need. They need a defense, and they need a wide receiver. They need a center. They need a corner, and they need a linebacker. And the best available for their needs is Aiden Hutchinson, a defensive end from Michigan, and the best fit for them is Ahmed Garner, a corner from Cincinnati. So of those two players, I'd say they go with the defensive end first in the first round. Then comes the Lions next. They need a quarterback, defensive back, safety, wide receiver. For them, I'll go with the quarterback. And the best quarterback I think available for them. Let me go best available so you can see it on the screen as well when I'm doing this. The best available for them. That's a quarterback. Is this guy from Liberty University, Malike Willis? This guy right here. I'll show you. This guy right here, Malike Willis from Liberty. He's 6'1", 219 pounds. He's 21 ranked overall. He's got a 90 grade. I think he's going to be a good quarterback of the quarterbacks in there. I know, Desmond Riddler from Cincinnati would be a good quarterback for them, but I'll go with this guy, Malike Williams from Liberty, if I was Detroit. So I said for the first two picks, I'd say the Jaguars go with Adrian Hutchins in the first overall pick. And then the Lions on the clock next, I say they go with Malike Willis from Liberty. And then after that is the Texans. And they need what do they need? Let's see, what do they need? They need defensive end, a offensive tackle, offensive guard, safety, and running back. I go with the running back first, and the best running back out there is clearly people say, there's a lot of running backs out there. I would go ahead and go with Bryce Hall that you see, the first guy you see here in the running back category. If I was Houston, I'll go with Bryce Hall. If Bryce Hall does not get drafted by Houston, I'd say Dallas needs to select him. So that's my stance on that. All right. So going on from there, next pick after that is the Texans. The Texans need, the Jets. Excuse me, the Jets are the next one. I think. Let me go back. Yeah, the Jets. The Jets are the next one. And for the Jets, I'd say out of the wide receiver, defensive end, corner, linebacker, offensive tackle, I would go ahead and draft with the first round with the fourth pick. I'd draft a wide receiver for your first pick for the Jets. If I was the Jets and I was drafting their first draft pick for this year's draft, I would go with a wide receiver. And yes, you got a lot of wide receivers. You got Garrett Wilson with Ohio State. You got Drake London with USC. You got Jamison Williams with Alabama. You got Chris Olave with Ohio State. You got Traylon Burks with Arkansas. Jalen Dawson with Penn State. You got Chris Watson from South Dakota or North Dakota State. You got Sky Moore with Western Michigan. John Mechie from Alabama. George Pickens from Georgia. You got Alec Pierce from Cincinnati. You got Jalen Tolbert from South Alabama. You got Calvin Austin III with Memphis. You got Wandale Robinson from Kentucky. David Bell from Purdue. You got Khalil Shakir from Boise State. Release Jones Jr. From Tennessee. Quan Thornton with Baylor. And he's a pretty good guy, too. I've seen him play on TV. He's pretty good. Where Cincinnati made the playoffs. Georgia won it all. So if I were to draft the wide receiver in that position for the Jets, I think it was the Jets. Let me go back to the Jets. Yeah, it was the Jets. Yeah. I would go ahead and go with the Georgia wide receiver. I would go with the Georgia wide receiver, George Pickens, if I was the Jets drafting. If George Pickens did not get picked up by the Jets, I'd say Dallas needs to pick him up, or Kansas City needs to pick him up, because you need more depth for Dallas, but also Kansas City could use him because they lost Tyreek Hill to Miami. So you need some good wide receiver to make up for losing Hill to Miami. Yes, you get Schuster for Kansas City. Maybe Pittsburgh picks him up because you got lost Schuster and Washington to Kansas City and where Schuster went, and Dallas got James Washington. So I feel like that's gonna be your best bet for for um, for the Jets. Now the next pick goes to who? The Giants. Okay. The Giants. There's several ways you could go with the Jets. The Giants. You got on-time linebacker, offensive tackle, wide receiver, corner, and safety. I would also go wide receiver. So 2 wide receivers back to back in this point in the draft, and depending upon if Pickens from Georgia is still out there and still on the board, I don't know. Jets may want to go with him, or they may want to go with a guy from Alabama, or they may go with that guy from Cincinnati, or they may go with a guy from North Dakota State. There are a lot of options still probably left at this point. Wide receiver, if you're gonna draft a wide receiver, the Giants are gonna draft a wide receiver. You still, at this point, you may still have George Pickens, but if you don't, you might still have Wilson, London, Williams, Olave, Burke, and Dodson, just to name a few that still might be on the board by the time you get to the Giants draft pick. If I was the Giants and I was drafting a wide receiver at this point, which I probably would draft a wide receiver first and then work on the other positions, the rest of the draft picks that you have, I would go ahead with either Olive with Ohio State or Wilson. If you didn't want to go with them, I would go with Jamison Wilson from Alabama, or maybe Drake London from USC. I guess you'd go Treylon Burks from Arkansas, or J.N. Dodson from Penn State, or you could go with Christian Watson from North Dakota State, or Sky Moore, or even another Alabama guy in John Mechie III. If Pickens still hasn't been drafted by then, I would go with him. Or if Cincinnati's Alec Pierce still hasn't been drafted, go with him. There's some players you can go lower and get Tolbert or Kevin Austin or Wandale Robinson, David Bell, Kelly Shakir, Venus Jones, Tyquan Thornton, still available. Kyle Phillips, still available. Bo Melton, still available. Justin Ross, maybe still available. Romeo Dobbs, the Texas Tech guy, Ezkanama, Dan Gray may still be available. Notre Dame's guy, Kevin Austin Jr. still may be available. At that point, there's you got Braylon Sanders from Ole Miss. You could draft Malik Polk, Charleston Rambo, Jalen Naylor, Trey Turner, Dejane Dixon, Josh Johnson, Reggie Johnson, Reggie Robinson, Javon Hiley from Coastal Carolina, Tate Martin from Oklahoma State. Tate Martin, I think, is going to be a good pick for somebody. Yeah, and I think Tate Martin could go early in the draft. Yes, he's listed at 35 and the best available in the wide receiver category. But I think he is going to be a guy who, if he puts out the effort like he put out in college, and he put out the effort at Oklahoma State, then I think he could be a very, very talented wide receiver in the NFL. If the Jets or Giants don't pick, if any of them or the Texans or the Lions or the um, Jaguars, if any of the 5 teams that were on the board first don't get him, I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas doesn't try to go after him, or maybe even Pittsburgh or Kansas City. You gotta remember, James Washington's in Dallas, or Miami could try to get him and try to add him to their repertoire with Tyreek Hill, or Pittsburgh might get him to be a wide receiver that Mason Rudolph throws to. So I wouldn't be surprised if Jay Martin doesn't get drafted, pretty high. Not the first 5, but somewhere in the first round. If not the first round, then early second round. So we've gone over the first, who I think is going to be drafted by the first 5 teams: Jaguars, Lions, Texans, Jets, and Giants. So now up to Carolina, the 6th pick of the draft. Of what this is based off of who's best available at the position, one of the positions that the team needs. I look at what the team needs, and I think it was Carolina. Yeah, it was Carolina. They need a quarterback. They need an offensive tackle, a guard, a wide receiver, and they need a inside linebacker. If I probably would go with the quarterback first. I would go with Riddler from Cincinnati. I mean, there are other quarterbacks out there. Like if Malik Willis is still out there, or Pickett. If Pickett or Malik Willis is still out there, I would go with him, with either one of those. But if either one of those has been drafted at this point in the draft, then I would go if Malik Willis has been drafted at this point, then I'll go with Kenny Pickett or Desmond Riddler. If Pickett and Malik Willis have been drafted at this point, then I'll go with either Riddler, Matt Corral, or Sam Howell. Bailey Zappi, another good quarterback. He's from a smaller conference team with Western Kentucky, but I saw him. I watched him on TV when I was watching the Western Kentucky Conference Championship game, even their bowl game. He was a really good quarterback for Western Kentucky. So, Skylar Thompson from K-State, same goes for him. Any of these top 8 players, if they're still available, I would go with them over who is below. I mean, I'm saying that who is below is not any good. Cohen's really good. Saw him in the bowl game against O State, and that was pretty good. And somebody from the FCS. You got two players in FCS with Southeastern Louisiana and Brown, with Colt Kelly with Southeastern Louisiana and E.J. Perry with Brown. You still got California's Chase Garbers and another FCS player with Aqeel Glass from Alabama A&M, and then you got Brock Purdy from I-State. Not to say that this is a bad year of quarterbacks. There's been better years with their quarterbacks in past draft years. Hopefully next year we'll have a good amount of good quarterbacks in next year's draft as well. But from this year's draft class, there's quite a few of good ones out there. I saw Pickett in that bowl game. Yeah, I think we had some injuries in that one, and Riddler played well in the playoffs against Alabama. Yeah, you lost to Alabama, but it's hard to beat Saban and the Tide in any game, whether it's a regular season conference championship or playoff or bowl game. If you're going up against Nick Saban's Crimson Tide, you're going to have a hard time trying to get a win. And with Ole Miss, they played Baylor, and Sam Howell went against the Gamecocks of South Carolina. So you had that in a New Year's Six bowl. That was in the Sugar Bowl, which is a rotation for the playoffs. Pickett was in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. That's a rotation, and then of course Riddler was in the playoffs, taking on the Tide, and Michigan played Georgia in the other matchup of the playoffs. But Michigan doesn't have a quarterback here. The best Michigan player out there is Aiden Hutchinson. So he's the best Michigan player out there. The best Georgia player out there is Trayvon Walker, a defensive end. Both guys are defensive ends. Best player for NC State, Akeem Akawanu, an offensive tackle from NC State. Hopefully I pronounced that name right. Evan Neal, the best player from Alabama, is an offensive tackle. Evan Gardner, the best player from Cincinnati at corner. Garrett Wilson, best player from Ohio State. Tavon Thibodeau, best from Oregon. Here's the player to watch out for. Is from and this one is the cornerback from LSU. And I can tell you why. Derek Stanley Jr. is the go-to guy to draft in the draft. He'll be a good draft pick for any team that gets to draft him. I think he's going to go pretty quickly, maybe in the first 10 picks. He may go in the first 10 picks. I'll tell you why. He comes from a football family. His dad played football. His grandfather played football. Y'all remember his grandfather's injury. But football playing family. Of course, football fans have seen that special on game day about him and his family. So yeah. Watch out for Derek Stanley Jr. He's going to be the surprise player of this year's NFL draft. Given that he's a corner, he's comes from a football family where his dad and grandfather played football. And coming from an SEC team. One of the toughest conferences in college football is the SEC because you have to go up against Alabama's and and stuff like that. Another guy to keep an eye out for is Kyle Hamilton from Notre Dame. I said, the quarterback from Notre Dame was good. This guy, Kyle Hamilton, also good. Because I remember they had a whomping lead against Oklahoma State in the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl before the big comeback from the Cowboys in the thing. So I don't think he's going to be in this year's draft, but he's going to be coming in the next 4 to 5 years in the NFL, and that is Arch Manning's son, or sorry, not Arch Manning, which is one of Archie's kids, not Peyton or Eli's son, but their other brother. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. His his son's gonna be coming through college here before too long, and he'll be a good player to get to in the upcoming in whatever draft class he'll be in. He'll be something to watch in the future. So look out for Arch Manning. I saw there was an ESPN featured his high school, and there are gonna not only is he gonna be a player to watch out for, but that entire high school is gonna have players coming from that high school to college football, and then from there to the NFL. So keep an eye out for that particular high school is going to be dominant in the state in the classification that they're in high school football. Another player to watch out for in this year's draft, I know I was talking about the future draft, but Treylon Burks from Arkansas, the wide receiver, the best player from Arkansas. Watch out for him. He's going to be a good player. Arkansas had a good year. He had a good year. Arkansas Razorbacks had a good year in college football, and it's gonna be spectacular when it comes to him. So that I know I've been lingering on, and I haven't gone past the sixth pick of the draft yet, but we got plenty of time to talk about the first round of the draft. I may go on tangents about a certain player, but that's because I feel like that this player can if they work in training camps, and if they worked hard, if they had really good results at the combine, some of these players could boost their team into. Some are just a few players away from Super Bowl contending teams. wait until you see what I have to say later on. You'll have bleh. Later on. I'll talk about who I think the Buccaneers are going to draft. Now that Tom Brady is coming back and retiring after he had his brief retirement. All right, moving on to the Jets' next pick. So Giants. Giants, Panthers, Giants again. With the 7th pick. There, I go with one of your players' other needs, and I can't remember what they were. Then I go back and get those back up again. So I can't remember. Oh yeah, offensive linebacker, offensive tackle, wide receiver, safety, and corner. Yeah, I said go with a wide receiver in the first pick. The 7th pick, and the 7th pick of the overall in the draft, and their 7th pick. I'll go with an outside linebacker in this instance. Either that or offensive tackle. So if they went, so it's either or. They would go either linebacker, outside linebacker, or offensive tackle. Next, if you went with a outside linebacker instead of an offensive tackle, let's break down just the outside linebackers for a moment. Yeah, you got David Ajabo and Boyce Maffey from Michigan and Minnesota up north. And you got Drake Jackson from USC. I would go ahead and pick the Michigan guy if you go with your outside linebacker. So that David Ojabo or Debo, or however you want to say his name. That guy that's ranked first in the list of the offensive linebackers. But if you can go with an offensive tackle instead, I will go with Evan Neal from Alabama. Harrison, well, when you went with outside linebacker, why didn't you go ahead and mention Nick Bianito from Oklahoma? Yes, I think he's a good player from Oklahoma, but Oklahoma really didn't have a good season, and they kind of struggled last year. I mean, they had their good moments last season, but they struggled for the most part last season. And that's unusual for the Sooners to struggle like they have, considering their history in football. I still think he gets drafted, just not. I don't think he gets drafted higher than that guy from Michigan, or that guy from NC State Ekinwanu, or even Evan Neal, or even somebody like that. You know, those two may go higher than him in the draft. All right, now next up is the Falcons. The Falcons, they need a quarterback, wide receiver, defensive end, offensive tackle, and running back. If you're going to go with a position, I'll go with running back first. I'll go with the running back first. And if Breece Hall is still available, I'll go after Breece Hall. If he's been drafted at this point in the draft, which if anybody's going to draft a running back early on, they'll probably draft him or Kenneth Walker from Michigan. Either those two are going to go pretty early on. If either one of those still is available, I'll go with them. If Breece Hall has been drafted, I'll go with Walker. If he's been drafted, I'll go with Cook. And then I'll go with A&M's guy, Alabama's guy, Florida's guy, Georgia as another guy they can draft. The guy from North Carolina, Ty Chandler. Kai Williams from Notre Dame also could be a guy. So that's my take on that draft pick there. So go with the running back for the Falcons. And then your next pick, I would go with the quarterback then. For the Seahawks, I would draft the quarterback. You're losing Russell Wilson to the Broncos. You need a quarterback. I would go with, if Sam Howell from North Carolina is still out there and still able to draft, I'll go with Sam Howell from North Carolina if I was the Seahawks. I think he would fit into Pete Carroll's team there in Seattle. All right, now the Jets back up with another draft pick in the 10th pick. I don't know. At this point, there could be still a lot of players left. There's definitely tons of good players out there. May not your top choice is still out there, but somebody is out there. And if by any chance later on down the line by I didn't realize that it was up here. 9th pick, if 9th pick. Yeah, 9th pick. 10th pick. Sorry, 10th pick. If your 10th pick is, if you still have any of these players that you see on the list up there, if I were to go with a player at this point for the Jets, I would go with a defensive player. I would go with Trayvon Walker. If he's still out there and not been drafted, I would go with him. If he's been drafted and any one of these guys from NC State, Alabama, or Cincinnati haven't been drafted, I would go with them or Ohio State. If Hutchinson and Walker have been drafted by this time. Then the Washington Commanders, they got their pick next. I go with the quarterback. I would go ahead and say a quarterback at this point. If Pickett or Malik Willis still hasn't been drafted yet, I will go with them. If those two top two best available players have been drafted and they're no longer on the board, and Riddler's not on the board, I can go with Mike Worrell or Hale if he's still out there, or Strong, or even Zappe if Zappe has not been drafted yet, or Skylar Thompson for that matter. There's still probably a good selection of quarterbacks out there if you go with a quarterback by the Washington Commanders. And I don't know, I haven't looked at their names, but I do know that they probably do need a quarterback. That's just my opinion. All these draft picks on who I think is going to go where, just my opinion, and who I think would go there. That's just my opinion on who I think will go there and how I think the draft will go. We'll see if I'm right on these picks or if I'm wrong on these picks. Then you have the Vikings next. So I would go ahead and go. Wonder. Hold on. Let me stop sharing for a minute. I gotta see um if you used to be able to go to the NFL.com. You used to be able to go to NFL.com and be able to do the first round draft pick, like mock draft type of thing. You used to be able to do that where you could do a mock draft like predict the pick is what I'm trying to say. Oh, and here's predict the pick. I think it's just the first round. May the whole. I don't know if it's the whole draft or not, but it's the first round at least. So let me add the share screen, and I'm going to share that particular tab. That way you can see it and see it on the screen, so you're not just like, okay, this is who he's going with. I'm gonna go back and go through the first 10 teams again. So, like I said for the Jaguars, I'll repeat myself again. So if you are just now tuning in, I will repeat myself. They need a linebacker, offensive line, or wide receiver. I will go with the line. I would go with the linebacker there, and there's a lot of good draft picks out there for you for if you draft a linebacker. I got the guy from Georgia, Nakobe Dean. So that's who I would draft number one. All right. If you can't read it, if it's blurred, I'll just tell you Nakobe Dean is who I think the Jaguars are going to draft one. If I said a different player early on, it's because I forgot. And I forgot about this. If I had done this, I wouldn't be forgetting. I have just gone back to what I had said. Lions. I drafted quarterback. Malik Willis is the best better quarterback out there. So now it comes to the Texans. Go with the corner back. I'd go with Sauce Gardner. It's a weird name, but I'll go with him. Jets wide receiver. This is where you're going to have a run of offensive players. I'll go with this guy Wilson from Ohio State, Garrett Wilson. For the Giants, offensive line. Evan Neal. For the Panthers, quarterback. Best available if Malik Willis gets drafted. I'll go with Pickett from Pitt. Giants. I can go with the tight end. I'll go with Jeremy Rucker from the Ohio State. Quarterback time for the Falcons. He was at orange and black or red and black college team. He's gonna go with red and black pro team. Desmond Riddler. Seahawks. Like I said, they need a quarterback to replace losing then I know it's blurry on your end, but I don't know why. For the Seahawks, I don't know. I'll go with Sam Howell. Jets, wide receiver. I'll go with Jamison Williams from Alabama. Commanders, Chris Olin from Traylon Burks from Arkansas. Vikings need a corner or a D-line. If you go to the corner, I'd go with Andrew Booth from Clemson. Yeah, Clemson didn't have a really good season, but Texans D-line. I'll go with Trayvon Walker from Georgia. The Ravens, I'll go with linebacker Damian Clark. Eagles, wide receiver. I would go with George Pickens from Georgia. Saints, wide receiver Sky Moore. Chargers, wide receiver this guy Ole from Ohio State. Eagles, wide receiver Drake London. Another wide receiver. I say wide receiver out the wazoo. Christian Washington. Another wide receiver, I think, goes. I think you're going to have one of the wide receivers. I know I've been selecting a lot of wide receivers here since Traylon Burks. But I don't need wide receivers. Steelers, I'll go with wide receiver. I would go with Montrell Washington. Replace Washington with a Washington. Patriots, corner. This is where you bring the wide receiver trend. Trent Duffy. Packers wide receiver. Here's where I would draft Tay Martin. Cardinals wide receiver. I'll go with that guy, John Mechie, with Cowboys wide receiver. Since a lot of players are, I'd go with Alec Pierce from Cincinnati. Bills running back. I'll go with the running back here. Brees Hall. No, I know Kenneth Walker instead. Then I would go ahead and go with Brees Hall. Buccaneers, go with the tight end because you don't know if Gronkowski is going to be there or not. I'll go with Kolar. Packers linebacker, outside linebacker. I'll go with Tyler Linderbaum. With the Chiefs, they have two picks in a row. You need a wide receiver to replace Tyreek Hill. If Tay Martin is still available, I would draft Tay Martin. But if the Packers do select Tay Martin or somebody else selects Tay Martin, I'll go with Tyquan Thornton from Baylor. And then I'll go with the D-line. Go with Aiden Hutchinson. He may get drafted to number 1 overall, but he may slip down. I don't know. Somebody's kind of slip down. And then Bengals, you're running up your Super Bowl runner-up team. I'll go ahead and go with Tavon Thibodeau from Oregon. And then the Lions, go with the quarterback. Go with Matt Corral from, Jack Cohen from So that's who I think is going to go. Let's go over it again. You have Nakobe Dean to the Jaguars, Malik Willis to the Lions, Sauce Gardner to the Texans, Garrett Wilson to the Jets, Evan Neal to the Giants, Kim Pickett to the Panthers, Jeremy Recker to the Giants, Desmond Rattler to the Falcons, Sam Howell to the Seahawks, Jameson Williams to the Jets, Treylon Burks to the Commanders, Andrew Booth to the Vikings, Trayvon Walker from the Texans, Draymond Clark to the Ravens, George Pickens to the Eagles, Sky Moore to the Saints, Chris Olave to the Chargers, Drake London to the Seahawks, Tristan Watson to the Saints, Montrell Wilson to the either the Saints or the Packers. So either we get 20th or 22nd, depends upon if Tane Martin goes before him or not. Trent McDuffie to the Patriots, Tate Martin or Montrell Washington to either the Packers or the Steelers, and John Mechie, Al Pierce, Kenneth Walker III, Brees Hall, Shy Collar, Tyler Linderbaum, Quinton Thornton, Aiden Hudson, Talon Thibodeau, and Jack Cohen. Those are my first round guesses at who I think is going to go. In the first round. We'll review the first round tomorrow. I'll go over who was drafted where and was I right on this one I did on the NFL. Not what I did earlier, but what I did fully on here on the NFL.com. I'll screenshot this, or I'll log in and I'll log in and save it so I can see if I can. So yeah, I know I've been live an hour, but there's still a lot to talk about in the draft, and hopefully everybody's enjoyed this coverage of my NFL draft special day one. I know it says NFL special day one. I was trying to make it say NFL draft special day one, but I left out draft part. But I'll get it corrected for day two. So make sure you like, comment, like and subscribe, and click the notification bell to be notified whenever I post a video. And thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow for day two of the NFL draft special, and we will have baseball. It'll be the show baseball back this weekend. And we'll try to get caught back up with the season because we gotta get Tuesday and Wednesday, and today's game is made up. But I was going to do it today, but I thought I will do the draft special instead. I think I'll do Tuesday and Wednesday's game tomorrow. Thursday and Friday's game Saturday. Saturday and Sunday's game. Here. Let's here. Yeah. Tuesday and Wednesday's game Friday. Thursday and Friday's games Saturday. Saturday and Sunday's game is Sunday. And then off day Monday, and then back at it on Tuesday. So, thanks for watching. We'll see y'all next time. Keep on YouTube, everybody.